Here we
Right
go.
now. All right,
And
today's weather report.
it is a day 6 of A Course of Love, um, in Dialogues, Book 3. The
Mm.
time in between. Has everybody got their page open?
Mhm.
Mm.
Great. Who is the first? Kevin?
Chantel, of course.
Shanti.
Day 6, the time in between. We now will discuss being the true self while becoming the true self. The time in between your awareness of and access to Christ consciousness or unity, and your sustainability of Christ consciousness or unity in form.
Love it.
As was said earlier, to realize the state of becoming is to realize that an in-between exists between the time of learning and the time of being the elevated self of form. This is what our time on this holy mountain is largely compromised of. We are in an in-between state of time. We stand at the intersection point of the finite and the infinite in order to complete the creative act of becoming. While you know this is the focus of our time together, few, if any of you, feel as if you have truly taken leave of the everyday world of your normal existence and feel fully present on the holy mountain.
Mm.
This is not a second best situation, although it is being handled in this way partially, because to ask you to walk away from your normal life for 40 days and 40 nights would cause too much anxiety and exclude too many. This is not the only or even this is not the only or even the major reason for this chosen method. Before we can continue to expand on your awareness of the difference you have chosen, we thus must address this time so that any confusion it seems to be causing will not delay your progress.
Thanks, Chantel. Next, since we have often discussed the similarity between the creation of art and the work we are doing here, we will return to this example. We have spoken of becoming as the time of movement, being and expression come together. We have further spoken of your point of access to unity as one of convergence, intersection, and pass-through. Can you see the similarities between these actions despite the difference in language used? Movement, being expression, convergence, intersection, pass-through How might these things be linked to the example of creating art? I choose this particular example to address this particular time of being in between. Let us consider the creation of a piece of music. The creation of a piece of music, like the creation of a painting or a poem, takes place in stages. At one time, the creation of a piece of music is only an idea in the mind and heart of the creator. The creation of a song or symphony may begin as simply as with a few notes running through the mind, or a particular turn of phrase that inspires the creator to see these words as lyrics. At some point after this gestation within the mind and heart, the artist puts pen to paper or picks up a guitar or sings into a tape recorder. Much starting and stopping may be done, or the piece may find its expression easily in a way that the artist might describe as flowing. Depending on the disposition of the artist, the piece of music might be shared with others at each step of the process, or only late in its development. But at some point, the sharing will take place, and the reactions of those with whom the music is shared will impact the artist and the piece. Positive reactions might validate the artist's instinct and encourage even boldness. Negative reactions might cause the artist to doubt her instincts, to make changes, or to be more determined than ever to see the piece through to the point where it will be appreciated. Finishing touches will be put on the piece. Some collaboration might take place to get it just right. By the time the artist has completed the piece of music she began, it may have a little resemblance to the piece. It may have little resemblance to the piece originally intended, or it might be quite true to the original idea. Leanne, we're up to day 6 and we're up to 6.8. And it's Samuel, your turn to read.
Every creative piece of art that comes to completion includes a choice. At some point along the way, a commitment is made between the artist and the piece of art. A commitment to see it through. This commitment may come because the artist knows it is good enough to deserve the time and attention, or the commitment may come as a recognition that a relationship of love has developed, and good enough or not, completion is necessary. It may even be a commitment simply to practice, with the artist feeling no certainty about the value of the piece, but determining to see the project through, knowing that it will make the next piece or the next a better piece of music. In all stages of this creation, a piece of music exists in relationship to its creator, be it only an idea, a partially completed rhythm, lyrics without notes, or a completed work that will qualify more or as practice then is that the peace exists. In each state of creation, it is what it is. Only when it is complete and full and true expression of the artist's idea, however, will it and the artist be one. You are a work of art headed for this oneness of full and true expression. No stage you pass through to reach this oneness is without value.
Mm.
Each stage contains the perfection of that stage. Each stage contains the whole, and each whole contains each stage. You have been told you are in the final stage of becoming. You have committed to completion of the becoming that will create oneness between creator and created. You have developed the creative relationship that is union. You are in and within the movement of the creative process where there is no distinction between creator and created. You are being who you are right now and eliciting the expression that will make you, that will take you to the final stage of being who you will be in oneness.
Sam.
And then
Awesome.
Let's just take a second to sink
Yeah.
that in. Just a little moment to not even think about it, just to let it sink in. Mm. Okay, what's next?
You are not separate now from who you will be when you reach completion. You are not separate now from who you will be when you reach completion.
I read that again.
You are not separate now from who you will be when you reach completion.
Mm.
You are in and within the relationship of creation, in which created and creator become one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in returning to one of the main themes of this chapter, the simple truth that you are having to go about this creative process while remaining embroiled in daily life, I want to acknowledge the difficulties some of you will seem to be experiencing, even while pointing out to you that life is life. Let's begin with the seeming difficulty. It may take on many forms, but its main source is almost surely a desire to focus on the relationship developing between us, and a corresponding desire not to have to focus on the details of daily life. You may be thinking that the ease so often spoken of in our conversations would be there if only you could be truly taken away from it all and experience nothing but our relationship. Focus on nothing but your point of access. Have a chance to really begin to invite abundance without having to look at the bills that arrive by daily mail or worry about the many other aspects of your simple survival. Yet realize that if you were told to leave these worries behind and get away from it all, you would likely rebel and find many reasons not to make it so. And so abundance will have to come first. Lack of cause for worry will have to come first. An ability to focus on other than daily life will have to come first. These are what these continuing dialogues will facilitate.
Tim, when you're ready, you can.
Okay. They will facilitate this by facilitating the acceptance of life as it is.
That's a key sentence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do that one again, Kimsey.
They will facilitate this by facilitating the acceptance of life as it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is why this dialogue is occurring on the holy mountain without taking you away from life as you know it. We are, after all, speaking of the elevation of the self form. This elevation must occur in life, in your life, as it is, rather than in some idealized situation away from what you consider normal life. This does not, however, mean that this elevation can be postponed, put off, or can wait for some convenient time. Quite the contrary. We are having our dialogue on the holy mountain while you remain within your life for the very purpose of not allowing this to happen. It also does not mean that many of you will not have changed or will be changing the very fabric of your daily life. Changes you feel called to make are not discouraged here. The point being made is simply that removal from life is not possible or desirable. Shall I read one more? Yep. Learning takes the student away from normal life and creates a place for teaching, and only calls this place elevated. Yeah. Awareness, acceptance, and discovery cannot occur in a place set apart from normal life. Believe me when I tell you that the elevation you are currently experiencing is the only elevation you would want. As within, so without is the operative phrase here. It is not the other way around. You cannot find a place outside of yourself that will allow for the elevation of which we speak. There are no hallowed halls of learning that will accomplish this. There is no mountaintop in any location on earth that can accomplish this. It is only the relationship we are developing in this elevated place within that will bring to your full realization and manifestation without the accomplishment that already exists.
Thanks, Kim. Cole, when you're ready.
I know it doesn't always seem so. Give your attention for a moment to the temptations associated with the mountaintop of my own experience. There were temptations of the world, of the normal daily life of my time. There were attempts to distract me from my purpose, to change my focus, to engage in debate, to lure me from the place of elevation I knew I had attained. The temptations of the human experience are the same now as they were then. They are the same on the mountaintop as they are on level ground. A place that seems externally removed from them cannot remove them. Only a created place within can do so. This place within is what we are creating here. It is truly elevated place. It is as real as a mountaintop. In fact, much more real. Were your scientists to know what to look for, they would find it. That's pretty cool, eh? Yet, it is being created to exist both within the body and beyond the body. It is interest, the portal of access. We have spoken of a connection within the state of union as real as if a theta was stretched from here to there. The point here, however, is this. Quit trying to remove yourself from life. If this were required, it would be done. Think not that I cannot arrange the ideal environment for our dialogue. This is it. Anyone else? There?
Any reading today?
Yes.
Thanks, Annie.
Yeah, I think it's ironic I said I wanted to escape the US before we're reading this. I think it's perfect. Thank you. Okay, 623. Think a moment about a new job or some other endeavor in which you apprenticed. In such a situation, a person is taught and shown the skills and activities needed for the accomplishment of the tasks he or she is to perform. But often it is only when the teacher steps aside and the apprentice is able to gain experience that the apprentice is in a position to be able to begin to perform with any certainty. Even learning is accelerated by hands-on activities, by doing what one has previously only learned. You have done your learning, and your teacher has stepped aside as a teacher and become a companion. Mm. Would you desire to prolong your time as an apprentice by being removed from the performance of your tasks? Perhaps you would. But as has been stated from the beginning, there is an urgency to your task.
He's said that a few times.
About the urgency of the task?
Yeah.
Thinking of our relationship as that of colleagues, as well as companions, as fellow workers or workmates with a task to accomplish, as well as conversationalists, is not an erroneous way to think of our relationship. We are both friends and co-workers, colleagues as well as companions. Our dialogue is not without purpose. You know this, or you would not be here. You know this, or you would not feel the devotion to me and to what we do here that you do. And what's more, you feel the eagerness of your brothers and sisters. If you felt our goal was unlikely to be accomplished, or that it would elevate only a few and leave all others behind, you would not feel this devotion. You know our task is holy and incomparable. You know there is nothing more important for you to be involved in. All other areas where you might previously have placed your devotion pale in comparison to our task. As your belief grows in our ability to accomplish together our given task, you are almost surely feeling this devotion extend to others, particularly those who, along with us, work toward its accomplishment. In doing so, you are not creating new special relationships, but the true devotion that will replace special relationships forever.
Wow.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's beautiful. I was thinking it feels like being and becoming at the same time. The union is with myself and or with others. So pretty.
Leanne, are you reading today?
Yes, I can read. But this very knowing of the sanctity and incomparability of our task is what seems to create the difficulty so many of you are currently experiencing in one way or another. Your desire is where it belongs, here, in the passionate acceptance of our work together. And so the lack of desire you are experiencing for other areas of the life you still seem so deeply involved in is disturbing to you. Yes, yes. Yet why should this be disturbing? Why should you continue to desire the life you have had? Now, let's address this seeming paradox. You have been told to do only what you can feel peaceful doing, to do only what allows you to be yourself. And yet here are you told not to try to remove yourself from life. Do you need to feel desire for what you do in order to do it peacefully? Do you need to be other than yourself in order to navigate your daily life? What you're being shown here is that you do not. What you are going to realize from this time of seeming difficulty is an end to difficulty and the growth of your ability to do whatever you do peacefully and to be who you are in any situation in which you find yourself.
Ta-da.
I can't wait. I can't wait. There is no time to wait while you learn or think. You learn the qualities that will allow this. This is the point of movement, being and expression coming together, the point of convergence, intersection, and pass-through. This is it. Right here in your life as it is right now. Well, I'm going to read this next one. There is thus no call to be discouraged. This is not delay, but what you might think of as trial by fire. Be encouraged rather than discouraged that you are able to embrace this dialogue and remain in your life. Realize that this is just what we work toward. This difficulty will pass through you as you allow for it and accept where you are right now and who you are right now.
You might as well finish it off, man.
Okay. Does this work of acceptance seem never ending? It is until it's replaced by reverence, just as learning was unending until it was replaced by acceptance. The conditions, however, of this time of acceptance are not the conditions of the time of learning. And so you will soon see that the difficulty of the time of learning is truly behind you. Let us speak now of the conditions of the time of acceptance, for these will cheer you. Yoo-hoo!
Yay! I want to be cheered up.
You could probably dive straight into that if everyone's happy.
Thank you. That was very timely and very comforting.
Mm.
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 Chantal, when you're ready, you get to start day 7.
Mm. Conditions of the time of acceptance. What does the idea only now coming to acceptance imply that you were previously
Excuse
unaccepted?
me, Chantal. Sorry. I can't hear you very well.
Okay.
Are you able to face the microphone a bit more, maybe?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Conditions of the time of acceptance.
Much better.
What does the idea of only now coming to acceptance imply but that you were previously unaccepting? And what does being unaccepting imply but the very denial of yourself that you have come to see as your former state? Denial of yourself was the precondition that set the stage for the time of learning. The time of learning would not have been needed had you not denied yourself. When you saw yourself as separate and alone, you could not help but suffer fear, loneliness, and all the ills that came from the base emotion of fear. Fear is degenerating. Nothing about fear is life-giving. You thus were given life only to have it become degenerated by fear. Acceptance of yourself is the precondition for the time of acceptance. You are no longer denying yourself. You are no longer denying unity. You have replaced fear with love. Love is life-giving and life-supporting. There is thus nothing now degenerating about life. Life is now supported. Support is thus a condition of the time of acceptance.
You must realize here that the pattern of learning is now all that is left that can be degenerating to you. While you always were supported, the idea of learning that you accepted during the time of learning was not one of support, but one of effort. You must accept now that the pattern of learning is an extension of fear and be willing and vigilant in replacing it with a pattern of acceptance. I say this because so many of you still do not feel supported in your daily life. You may feel supported in your spiritual life, in your progress toward full awareness and the elevation of the self of form, but as in the discussion abundance, you may still feel unsupported in form. Realize now that this makes no sense when our goal is the elevation of form. If for no other reason, begin to accept the support of form because it makes sense. It is logical. And realize further that love is not opposed to logic, but returns true reason to the mind and heart. Love replaces fear and is life-generating rather than life-degenerating. Your bodies will thus regenerate rather than degenerate. Look forward to that one. Love is, of course, not a condition, as it is not an attribute, but the effect of living from love rather than from fear will have a major transformative effect on form in this time of acceptance. Regeneration is a condition of the time of acceptance. Samuel?
Another condition of the time of acceptance that will be of great service to you now is that of the different relationship that you will have with time. This is a time of convergence, intersection, and pass-through of the finite and the infinite, of time and no time. Time has not yet ceased to be, but as you are in a state of transformation, so too is it. Again, I remind you, as within, so without. As you let go of the time's hold on you, it will let go of you. Time will seem to expand, but will actually be contracting into nothingness. Time is replaced by presence, by your ability. Time is replaced by presence, by your ability to exist in the here and now, in acceptance and without fear. Again, let me remind you that you are in an in-between time. Thus, these conditions I have spoken of and those I have yet to speak of are also in an in-between state. They exist along with the new you. They exist in acceptance and union. They do not exist in learning and separation. They exist in love. They do not exist in fear. As with Christ consciousness, you are moving from a place of maintenance of these conditions to one of sustainability of these conditions. They do not come about from changes in your external circumstances, but from changes in your internal perspective. The conditions that affect life are conditions that affect the body. Yet, it was only your mind's acceptance of the condition of fear that led the body to exhibit the conditions of fear in the time of learning. Thus, it is the mind's acceptance of love that will lead the body to exhibit the effects of love in the time of acceptance.
Can we read that paragraph again, please?
Why don't you, Annie?
Okay. The conditions that affect life are conditions that affect the body. Yet it was only your mind's acceptance of the condition of fear that led the body to exhibit the conditions of fear in the time of learning. Thus, it is the mind's acceptance of love that will lead the body to exhibit the effects of love in the time of acceptance. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Mind's acceptance of love. It's sort of talking about healing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like physical. Mind's acceptance of love that will lead the body to exhibit the effects of love in the time of acceptance. I'll carry on. A further condition of the time of acceptance. A further condition of the time of acceptance is that of expansion. The singular self you once believed yourself to be was not capable of true expansion and true sharing. The singular self withdrew into its own little world and created its own universe. The elevated self of form will expand into the world and create a new universe. This condition of expansion is operative now and beginning to find manifestation through the sharing we are doing here. This condition of expansion is operative now and beginning to find manifestation through the sharing we are doing here. Wow. Conditions of the time of acceptance are conditions of creation and include those we have already spoken of as movement, being, and expression, and convergence, intersection, and pass-through. Kim.
Right. There are many lesser conditions that are nonetheless extremely transformative, such as the replacement of special relationship with the devotion, holy relationship that we have already spoken of. Another replacement is that of control with grace. This occurs as you give up the control you have but thought you exerted over your life and its circumstances, and live in a state of grace, meeting grace with grace by accepting what is given for your regeneration.
Mm.
It is easy to see from here how the dominoes fall and each condition of learning is replaced, always by a far gentler and more compassionate alternative. Thus, there is no need for me to list every new condition here. As you become increasingly aware of your relationship with union, each of these new conditions and your relationship with each of these new conditions will become clear to you.
Mm. Mm.
Call.
Obviously,
Yeah.
your relationship or access to union is of supreme importance, since all else will come of this. However, this is not an if this, then that situation, even if it may seem so. It's the process of breathing, and if this, then that situation, just because breathing sustains life, your access to union sustains real life. Oh, your access to union sustains real life, the life of the self, and will come to sustain the elevated self of form in a way as natural to you as breathing. You simply become an oozer. Oh, access to unity is a phrase that will only be used in this in-between time. You have always, you have always existed in unity.
Mm.
And once this is fully realized, you will no more need access to unity than you need access to breathing. Unity will be your natural state. When your natural state is fully returned to you and sustained within the Christ consciousness, the conditions of the time of acceptance, like the conditions of time of learning, will pass. There are no conditions in the state of union, as there are not attributes to love. The natural created self is all that is. Reverence prevails. Anyone else?
Annie, back to you.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, where were we?
17.
7:10?
17.
There
Oh,
will
I'm
be, however.
There will be, however, a new stage following the time of acceptance in which the elevated self of form will be created and come into full manifestation. And yet, what we are concerned about now is the present. It is here, in this present and given time on the mountain, that you must realize that the conditions of the time of acceptance, like the conditions of the time of learning, arise from within. Life has always existed within the conditions of the time, and life has always existed within the conditions of the time of acceptance. The conditions of the time of learning were but imposed conditions that also arose from within. The conditions of the time of acceptance that we have spoken of are thus not new conditions. They are conditions natural to yourself, to a mind and heart joined in union. It was the disjoining of mind and heart, of the real self from the ego self, that created the need for learning and the imposition from within of the conditions of the time of learning. The condition of the time of acceptance that will most clearly reveal to you your status in regard to maintaining or sustaining your access to union will be that of the replacement of doubt with certainty. Certainty is a condition of the present. Certainty is a condition of the present. Realize you may say you are certain of the future or the past, but that you cannot make it so. Thus, your ability to maintain and then sustain your access to union, and thus your certainty, goes hand in hand with your ability to live in the present. This ability is also contingent upon your recognition of what certainty really is. There is an acceptance of the present that some of you are finding difficult, and a false sense of certainty that some of you may be experiencing. Thus, these will be the subject of our next dialogue.
Which will be the accept the present.
Mm.
Wow. Really. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
I like 713. It is easy to see from here how the dominoes fall and each condition of learning is replaced, always by a far gentler and more compassionate alternative.
Mm. Lovely.
Mm.
it appears to me like the learning that the condition of learning that we've had is all about we're going to control everything and everybody. We're going to make everything outside of us be right.
Mm.
We think we're going to do that.
Yes.
Yes, and that last sentence there in 719, it was the disjoining of mind and heart of the real self from the ego self that created that need for learning and the imposition from within of the conditions of the time of learning. You know, the back and forth, this is good, that's bad. Part of myself is separate from ego. You know, it just created all separation.
Yeah.
I have such a huge resistance to that this is it, you know, like it's this constant thing of no, you know, it's ridiculous. And it's such a like it's actually against life, you know, really. A constant war with life. It's outrageous. You know?
Yes. So can you just accept that, you know?
Yeah.
You stop resisting it.
I hadn't seen that it's so strong for. Oh. And yet when you feel that you are present for a fleeting moment, it's so peaceful and good. And yet I fight it off.
Well, it comes first obstacle to peace, which is the desire to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Into the kingdom, and then creeps in the tiny made idea that will just whack you out of it. Eventually you go like, no thanks. I'm not thinking any of this.
No thanks, I want death.
Say it again?
No thanks, I prefer death. Like, what? You know, because eventually that's what I'm choosing. You know, it's crazy. It's a wonder we can live so long, honestly, I think. You know, given this constant battle that goes on.
Well, it's because love keeps on poking its head through. It finds every opportunity it can.
Yeah, thank God it's there. Yeah.
Right.
And I realised because I grew up like, you know, not thinking that I was loved, not accepting love, then, you know, I feel like, oh my God, all these patterns of degeneration were like set in place. And if you keep going down that track, then how can your body not just fall apart? Like,
well, it kind of reminds me of the
tooth and nail against love, all the while believing in my mind that that's what I wanted. You know, I didn't want it. Jesus. Jesus.
Exactly.
I didn't want it. I had no clue I didn't even want it.
Because we couldn't
Well, it
trust
just reminds me of the story of walking on water. Who was it, Peter or Paul or one of them? Like when he was in the moment, like this is saying, when he was present in the moment, you know, walking on water, it was fine. When he realized, oh my God, like what am I doing? And went into the future or the past, like I shouldn't be able to do this. That's when he fell, you know.
And yeah, it's like we're falling over and over and over. I want to stop falling. I'm tired of falling. You know, really. It's like I'm watching my little grandchild. He's walking now and he just falls down so many times and you can see he's so tired of falling down. He just doesn't want to fall. wall, and he's hanging on to things, and he's going along the wall, and because it's just like over and over, the falling. It's like so tiring. Oh my God. Yeah.
But he trusts himself
Well, he's
that
just
he can
got
do it.
huge, desire to do it, to be able to do it, and the joy when he can walk along for quite a long time, he's so happy, that's, yeah. I think, oh my God, I'm just like him, I'm constantly falling out of this presence, and, but the desire is there, and this pull to, get back into the presence is so strong, really. Yeah. It keeps, that love never gives up on us. It's so wonderful. I don't have to worry, like it's there, like it's always there, but I'm just not trusted. I have not trusted that it's there.
Mm.
I have not. Yeah.
Beautiful, darlings.
Mm.
Shall we depart entirely?
Can we just have do you mind if we just have a few minutes of like the joining? That would be nice.
Yes.
Because I've been talking too much.
No, it was beautiful. All of it.
Experience a
Mm.
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 Thanks, everyone. You
Thanks,
feel like you
everyone.
can walk on your own now, Kim?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Anthony.
Hi, everyone. You good to go, Kim?
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. That's beautiful.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, see ya.
See you next week.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.